We are still with the 5 hindrances. Restlessness and worry. Santam wa ajatam udacha. Udacha means restlessness. Kukucham means worry. When restlessness and worry are present within, the monk knows there is restlessness and worry in me. Now this is number 1. Number 2 is when you aware, mindful of the 5 hindrances. Second way of noting the restlessness. When restlessness and worry are absent, he knows there's no restlessness and worry in me. When it is present, you know. When it's absent, you know. Then he knows how the arising of a non-reason restlessness and worry comes to be. How it arises. Then you know. He knows how the discarding of the already arisen restlessness and worry comes to be. And how is the discarding? Then you know. So the 5th one is, he knows how the non-arising in future. Now he's talking about the future. So it's broken into the 5 ways of contemplation. Now we come to the first contemplation first. Now he knows when restlessness and worries are present with him. Now first we go to the first one, which is restlessness. We go to the worries later on. Now what is this restlessness? Udacha. So restlessness is actually this quietness. The mind is not quiet. The mind is very disturbing, noisy. Like a monkey jumping all over the place. Cannot stay still. Like a heap of dust scattered by a stone. Now if there's a heap of dust, if you throw a stone on it, then the dust is all over the place. So that is what restlessness is in the mind. Like a strong wind blowing a big heap of dry leaves. So when restlessness arises in the mind, it is like that. It is so scattered. Comparison with the dust and the heap of leaves. So that is restlessness. Now what is the function when it arises? It makes the mind unsteady. The mind is not steady because it is scattered. What is the manifestation? How it appears to be? Appears to be turmoil, disturbed, non-peacefulness of mind. Now when you are not peaceful, disturbed, you know that your mind is udacha, restless. Your mind is restless. Now restlessness is actually rooted in ignorance. The constant searching for something but not really knowing what. Now that is what ignorant mind. Restlessness is predominant in ignorance. That the mind constantly searches, but it doesn't know what he's searching for. It's constantly thinking, but it doesn't know actually what it is thinking about. So it is actually anchored on ignorance and searching for happiness. So the reality is, when our mind is restless, we are actually searching for happiness. We are grasping here and there, but we do not know where is that happiness. So that happens to people, male or female, rich or poor. They are constantly grasping for happiness. Even rich people grasp as well, due to dissatisfaction of the mind. Dissatisfaction comes from the ill will and Maha, the ignorance that is trying to grasp for happiness. That is why the mind becomes disquiet. Now if our mind becomes peaceful and calm, then that is the opposite. When we meditate, our mind becomes very peaceful and calm. And so restlessness disappears. It's very peaceful, concentrated, and stable. But if you don't meditate, then the mind is constantly grasping for object. The reason is grasping for happiness, my searching for happiness. But we don't really know what actually. It's just running all the time. Okay? So that is restlessness. Now, what about worries? So mostly it comes together. When the mind is a lot of worries, the mind gets very restless. Normally it comes together, kukucha. Udacha and kukucha. It is like very good friends. Normally they comes together. Now remorse, when we talk about remorse or worries, now worries of what? Worries of what? So the scripture says that of having done wrong things in the past, present, things that we have done that is not correct. We have done things that are not correct. So it produces a lot of worries. So probably if you buy shares and the share is coming down, so you can't eat and sleep because you worry about your shares that you bought. So you say probably you bought it at the wrong time or the wrong price. So you have done something that is not correct. Now if you buy it at the right time when it keeps going up, then you would have no worries and restlessness. Then you'll be very comfortable, sit there smiling to yourself when you think of your share. I see a share, oh, very nice. You should have bought more. So, of what? Of not having done right things. So, done wrong things in the past and not doing right things. So that is why we have worries and restlessness. Now, again, remorse and worries with regard to loved ones. Now, especially ladies, they are worries about their children a lot of time. But of course, the father worries as well. But mostly the mother worries more of the children because of the attachment. Worry about the children, worry about their education, worry whether, and sometimes whether they get the right spouse. We worries whether they will get sick. Worries a lot on the children, and some of them become so habitual that the mind running all the time. It wouldn't stop. It's just thinking about the children all the time. I have one lady who came to see me, and she's worried of the children overseas. So she's worried all the time. Don't know what the children is doing there, and don't know how's the study. Worries all the time. And I say, why you worry so much? Why don't you give them a call? Just phone them. Nowadays, the world is so small. You take out the phone and you can talk to them. And they have handphone, very easy to contact them. So a lot of worries are not necessary actually. It disturbs the mind, disturbs your calmness of mind. It is not necessary. A lot of worries does not happen at all. It is just in the mind. Worries of health. Nowadays, most people are very health conscious, so they're very worried about their health. Take a lot of vitamins, but sometimes it is no good to take too much. So it becomes poison when you take too much of it. So I read in the science journal, something like that. The Westerners, they take a lot of medicine, health food, and become cancerous. It stuck in the body and it won't dissolve. Then develop cancer, even all the vitamins. So they worry about property, worry about dying. Yes or no? Don't you think so? When a person comes to a certain age, he worries about dying. Don't you think so? Well, I suppose after 50 or 60, when they grow old, they worried about dying. That is worries. Perhaps we worry about the future too. We worry about future. If you are young, you worry about future. What's your future going to be? How's your job? Things like that. Now, the characteristic is regret, remorsefulness. The function is sorrow, sadness over what has been done or what has not been done. So that is the function of the remorse. When it arises in the mind, the function is just worry of things done or undone. Manifest as what? Manifest as mental pain, dissatisfaction, and the cause is doing wrong things, not doing right things. So that is probably the cause of worries or remorse. The cause is we have done wrong thing, we have not done the right thing. So that is why we have remorse. Now then, he knows the discarding of restlessness and worries come to be. Now, how do we discard worry and restlessness? How do we get rid of it? What are we going to do if we have strong worries and restlessness? So, according to the scriptures, there are things that we can do to overcome them by rectifying what has been done wrong. So if you have harmed somebody, hurt somebody, sometimes it's good to apologize. Sometimes it's good to say, I'm sorry, right? Especially between spouse, you should say that more often, husband and wife. If you don't do that, then you don't talk to each other for days and days, sometimes for weeks, sometimes for years. I have met a couple who haven't talked for 10 years. Very strange. They say, how you live together? Huh? Don't talk to each other. They say they talk to each other through the children. They call the son and go and tell your stubborn mother like that. And then the mother say, go and tell the pig-headed your father like that. So for 10 years, they live one upstairs, one downstairs. So when they want to talk, then the children is the go-between messenger. So that is bad. That is really bad. So it's very easy. Just say, I'm sorry. Well, if I hurt you, I've hurt your feeling, I'm sorry. So sometimes you're right also, never mind, say sorry, finish with it. So take a big person to say you're sorry. Takes to be confident to say that. My friend always says, he says sorry, even he's right, he will say sorry. If everything goes all right, he say, then I will say sorry. So rectify what you have done. Something wrong, that hurt somebody, it is good to just say, I'm sorry. Now, 5 ways to do what is right. If you do something wrong, try to rectify it. Okay? So, you can note it as a hindrance as well. In our meditation, we look at these worries and restlessness as a hindrance. So you just be aware of them, note it, hindrances. Then it goes away. Then it disappears. But it will come again if you don't rectify the restlessness and worries. But sometimes it works if it is not things that is stuck in your mind. You just worry about children, then you say, aware, restlessness, worries. Then it will stop. But if they are overseas, then it don't stop so fast. Right now, So you call them, you ask them to call you, then you don't have to worry so much. So a lot of time, you note it, at least it won't be strong. Otherwise, it becomes stronger and stronger if you don't note it. If you're not aware of it, then a lot of time it becomes neurotic, it becomes craziness. People have these worries. It is very close with fear. Worries and fear are very close together. And you can note it as mental suffering. Mental suffering, when it arises, normally it is mental suffering. So you can note it as suffering when it arises, or hindrance. Alright? Now then, you watch it arise, watch it grow. So according to the practice, you see it arises, see it go. Then you know that there's no more restlessness, there's no worries. Try to see it in between. You don't worry for a long stretch of time. No, the worries die off, other thoughts arises, and then other thoughts pass away, worry arise again. It does not go continuous, worry like that. No, the mind doesn't work that way. If you worry like that for a period of time, then you are probably crazy. So it really doesn't appear like that. So even when you're angry, it doesn't angry continuously non-stop. It will angry and then thoughts arises, no anger, and then it dies off, and then anger arises again, then dies off, then more thoughts arise in between. Now, if there is a straight row of angry thoughts, then it is very strong anger, is really hatred. If you have that, probably people have that, will die of heart attack. It's very strong. So even worries does not come continuous. No, it will die off. If it is strong enough, then it appears again. The object comes again to the mind, grabs the mind and pulls on, then it dies off. If you don't note it, then it will continue, die off, come out, die off, come out. Another thoughts in between, then it will die off, then it comes up again. In other words, in Pali we say, aramana paccaya, objects conditioning the mind. The objects that produce the fear condition your mind. It keeps bringing your mind to the object that produces the worries. So we call it object conditioning. So If you have mindfulness, then it loosens, it becomes weak, and then it dies off. It comes up again, then it slows down. Then it doesn't come out so often. The more you note it, the more it comes out less and less and less and less, and then it dies off. Then it dies off. Now that is how the mind works. Now if you were to watch the hindrances of your mind, which is Dhammanupassana, then you will not be controlled by these restlessness and worries. I've met people who are very habitual. Worries very habitual. They worries a lot and worries all the time, most of the time. They will say, see lah, see lah, see lah. I say, you keep saying see, but you never see. I say, people say see what don't see. But I know in her mind, she's so worried about this. If not this, then that. Not that, then this. Not this, then that. Continuous, they have things to worry. So I look at them and they are really very miserable. They have no peace of mind. Because they always follow with uddacca. The mind, non-stability of mind. When worries arises, the mind is shaken. So we call that a weak mind. A mind that is weak, easily affected by suffering. So such type of people, a little bit they suffer, a little bit they experience mental pain. So it is very pitiful and very sad. I've seen such type of people. Some of them are very intense warrior. So you need to practice the fourth foundation of mindfulness. You need to note them when they arise so that they will not grow in strength. They become weak and they disappear. Then you will not suffer this restlessness and worries. Of course, businessmen, they suffer a lot of these worries. I know that myself. At one time, I keep worrying. The moment I pay out the salary, I start worrying about the next salary. I say, where am I going to get the next money to pay for next month? Yes. Then I start to work out my plan. Must sell more lah, collect more lah, always more lah. Otherwise not enough to pay. So I look at my mind. I know there's a lot of worries. There are times when I'm not mindful. When I was young, a long time ago, it was so disturbing in my mind that I could hardly sleep. And when I come out and do walking meditation, I come out to my garden, and I was in Penang, and I was having a lot of worries. Then after my dinner, the moment I walk out of the garden, my mind stay on my leg there, lifting, pushing. And after 10, 20 steps, wow, my mind so peaceful. Then I look at my mind and say, wow, after the storm, really now it's so peaceful. The mind suddenly so peaceful because the worries and restlessness is gone. And then you see the contrast, the big difference between your mind churning all the time and suddenly no more. It's like a heavy rain and suddenly it stops. Then you can see the difference. So quiet. No noisy and wow, heavy rain. The same with your mind. When I look into your mind, I say, how wonderful is meditation. How marvelous is meditation. It is incredible. It's incomparable. Because the mind is so habit. I do a lot of walking meditation. It's so habit. When I start to walk, the mindfulness goes there. Anchor on my leg. And when I anchor on my leg, after I walk a few steps, 10, 20 steps, wow, all the worries and restlessness disappear. When I see the difference of my mind, it is two different state of mind, totally different. How fantastic. So you should note the worries and restlessness when it arises in your mind, okay? So especially when your children is sick, you have a lot of worries. Or your business, you have a lot of worries. Or your own health, a lot of worries. Especially when you are dying, more worries. So you got to note that. But the thing about meditation is that once you practice meditation to a certain level of calmness, you will not have fear of death. That is very fantastic mental state. Yes. You will not have fear of death. Even when you are dying, you will not have fear of death. Because the samadhi, the concentration and calmness of mind suppresses the 5 hindrances. The 5 hindrances cannot arise when the mind is wholesome, when there is mindfulness. The 5 hindrances cannot arise. So these restlessness and worries cannot arise in your mind. So I always advise you practice more and before you going to die. But of course that is very pantang, but it is a reality. We can't escape from dying. It will come to us sooner or later. So we need to prepare how to die. Got to prepare, die peacefully, die happily, die with mindfulness. So if you can't get your rise and fall, you'll find it difficult in your breathing. Watch your breathing. And perhaps you watch your body become very heavy. Sometimes if you are sick, your body become very painful. Watch the feeling. So if you don't watch your feeling now, how are you going to watch your feeling when you're going to die? So you must learn to watch your feeling. Pain, painful feeling, till your mind become detached. Painful feeling is just an object. Then the mind can still maintain that balance of mind, watching object, pain as the object. Now if you die with that mental state, you would have no fear of dying. You have a good rebirth, so you have a better life. So, watch it arise, watch it pass away. Very important. Watch the fear, watch the restlessness and the worries arise. Watch it, it will die off. But you watch it again for some time. Unless your mindfulness is very strong. The moment you watch it, it disappears. Just as sometimes your mindfulness is very strong. You watch the pain, instantly the pain disappears. Yes, there are some meditators who can do that. The moment they feel the itchiness, they watch it, no more itchy. Suddenly like, when you look at it, it disappears. Like it's afraid of you. Something like that. It's afraid of you. You watch it, it is not there anymore. So, unless your mindfulness is very strong, one look at it, it disappears. Otherwise, it takes some time. Once it builds up the momentum, the strength, it takes some time to disappear. But you must watch it. Hindrance. Restlessness and worry. Watch it. Then it becomes less and less. Then you die off. And in certain cases, you know that if you do the right thing, it will not arise again in the future. That is the 5th one. 5th one, that he knows that the restlessness and worries, in other words, do not arise in the future. So if you know how to apply that problem, particular problem will not arise anymore. Because once you get rid of it, it will not arise. Okay? So, the last one we have is the doubt. The doubts here, we have, when doubt is present, then you know. When doubt is absent, then you know. The same way. Now, in these 5 hindrances, there is these 5 ways of contemplation. So, according to the scriptures, you know how it arises, how it passes away, then you know the cause of its arising, why it arises. And when you apply the remedy, then it will disappear, and it will not appear again in the future. Once you start practicing it, note it and practicing it, when it dies off, then it won't arise again. So, I hope you are not one of them, who has a lot of restlessness and worries. If you have, then you must practice the 4th foundation of mindfulness. Right? Watch your restlessness and worries. Watch it. If you don't, it becomes stronger and stronger.